Hey, this is Steven from RC Engineering, and welcome to my development video series. So today we're going to be talking about my next series here. So currently we have running at the same time, we have the Tiny Woofer series, and we have the sled, the takeoff sled for high-speed plane series. So here we're going to do some few mods on some goggles. Right here we have the VR, the Eachine VR006, and the Eachine VR006 is a $35 to $45 goggles. I picked this up for $45 from Grayson Hobby, and it's a great place. That's $45 with shipping in the United States, and we're going to do some various mods on this guy. To make it to where it will be the best starter goggle, and it will be customized. Obviously in the video series I'm going to customize it to myself, but it'll also be information on how to customize it for yourself as well. So let's talk a little bit about these goggles. As you can see, these goggles are tiny. Here's my hand. As you can see, these goggles are tiny. Here's the manual here. Let me see if I can find the dimensions for it quickly with one hand, obviously. Size is 138 millimeters by 129 by 79 without antenna. And this guy has actually 3 antennas. It doesn't look like that way, but I'll explain from some of the brief testing I did on it yesterday. This just came in yesterday. It has a patch here out of the box. It has a clover leaf. And on the inside, it actually has an internal antenna, because even if you take off both antennas, you'll still get signal. The internal antenna appears to be a patch antenna, so you actually have 3 antennas. So this goggles, you could actually, if you're flying just in front of you, you could actually run without any antennas. And then this guy is RPSMA. So there you see RPSMA male. Or yeah, that would be female. RPSMA female. And then here is an RPSMA male. It's got the pin inside, it's got the pin missing, it's got the pinhole inside the antenna, it's got the pin popping out on the goggles. And as you can see, very, very tiny, very short antennas, which is really nice. Another thing about these goggles that is very important on why I picked them. So I'm going to go over why I picked these goggles for modding. Number one, they're small. That's the one reason, because I wanted to kind of compete against like the the Fat Sharks, where they're short. Fat Sharks are really short. So this is pretty much the smallest box goggle you could find in the case of a box goggle. This does have a 3-inch screen, so it is a way smaller screen, but we're going to do some things about that in the mods. Number 2, it has a 1S battery. The 1S battery is going to allow for a very, very lightweight goggle. You have a lot of goggles now with bigger screens or dual screens that have, dual screens like Fat Sharks that run on 7.4 volt, which is 2-cell. That means that the battery theoretically has to be twice the size in order to get the same amount of, twice the weight and twice the size in order to get the same amount of runtime. So this will allow for very easy mod to add a bigger size battery without a whole bunch of weight. And I'll go over what those perspective mods are at the end. But you could guess what the mods are going to be from my selection factors here on picking these goggles to mod. Number 2, it's pretty easy to disassemble. If you look inside, it's pretty easy to take apart and put back together. I'm just going to keep talking. I have to go let my cat in. I'll just go ahead and point it at it. So very easy to disassemble, and another thing is it's very, very easy to buy parts. If you head to Banggood, you could actually find a Fresnel lens, an LCD, battery, a board. You can find every single part of these goggles independently on a lot of Chinese websites. So if you wanted to build, if I actually wanted to build my own pair, I could actually buy every single piece and build it. Also, very simple construction, so very easy to disassemble, very simple construction. One cell, very small, small screen. So that means theoretically with a small screen, you could get closer to your face. Pretty decent resolution of 500. Right there, 500 by 300. It's got the search feature. It's got options for the AV in, for running a DVR and watching recording. Pretty much everything. It's got all the contrast and all that saturation adjustments, and yeah. A few things that this is not so great with. It doesn't actually have the channels. It has frequency, so you actually have to look up the frequency table on your goggle. If you want like A2 on your goggles, it's going to say 5.845 on your goggles. 5.845 gigahertz instead of A2. So you're going to have this this table. But luckily, the scan feature is really good and tends to find the channel automatically right on time. Because you'll have two channels, which one frequency will be really close, and it will actually skip past that and find the correct channel. Because some of the channels here are very close. For example, here you see B, so this is B7, it's 5.847, and then A2 is 5.845. So that's a difference of what, 2 would be 2 kilohertz, a difference of 2 kilohertz, which is very small. So for example, it'll go around and it'll see that channel. Let's say you're actually on A2, it'll see that channel first and it will go past it and see A2, the actual channel you're on. So very good scan function on this, very good operation, and very small screen, one cell. That's one problem, is the gigahertz, that it actually just shows gigahertz. Number two, you cannot disable the on-screen display. The on-screen display is always in the bottom left and bottom right hand corner. That's another problem. Other than that, it's pretty much the perfect goggle to mod. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do to these goggles. So number one, we're going to do a battery mod. So we're going to change it from a 500 milliamp hour. Let me see if it says it. It doesn't say it on here, but it's a 500 milliamp hour battery inside, and it actually has the working current here, which is 350 to 450 milliamps. Sorry. So 500 milliamp hour. Theoretically, you get a little bit over an hour, even at the most current discharge. So what I'm thinking is, because changing it from a LiPo, I've already taken not these apart, but another set. My roommate has a set as well. It came with his Eachine VR006, and it has a single antenna. And we're going to do some mods on that one as well, and we'll talk about that later. But we already opened his up. His has a lithium polymer battery, LiPo battery inside. And I'm thinking that we're going to change it to a lithium ion, because lithium ion has a larger energy density, which means capacity over weight, or weight over capacity, however you want to think about it. Generally, it's capacity over weight. It's like size over weight, right? So size over weight, it really doesn't really matter how you look at it. It's just a fraction, right? So it could be size over weight, or capacity over weight, or weight over capacity. But it has more capacity for its weight than LiPos. And lithium ions could also go lower in the charge range, but I don't think that the voltage range before you damage the cell. But this guy, I believe, has some sort of low voltage cutoff, so if it gets low, it's going to cut it off at LiPo voltages that will damage the LiPo. So it doesn't know, the firmware doesn't know that we're going to swap it to a lithium ion. So theoretically, I think it's almost about You get about twice the density, so twice the capacity for the same amount of weight compared to a LiPo. So we could swap this with a 1000 milliamp hour and still have the same weight. And then what we'll like to do, the battery's actually in here. Is it in here? Well, it's on the side without any buttons. You could actually see it in there. It's that silver sheen right there. That's the top of the battery. So we could actually stick that battery inside there towards the back. So another little engineering principle, it's called moment, which is basically weight times distance, which we'll go over quite a bit more here in a second. But basically, the main thing for box goggles is that the longer they are and the more concentrated the weight is on the outside, the heavier they feel, because they actually want to rotate off of your face. So by concentrating most of the weight by the face, it feels even lighter than it is already. And these goggles, another one is that because they're tiny, they're also very, very lightweight. These guys are about 230 grams compared to the Eachine EV800Ds, which are the 5-inch screen, DVR, full diversity, all that stuff is about 450 grams, so about twice. Another thing is that I forgot to mention that this thing has kind of skimped out on is it's not actually true diversity, it's antenna diversity. So there's one receiver for 3 antennas, and you remember there's an antenna on the actual receiver itself. So there's one patch, 2 patches, and one cloverleaf omni directional antenna. So one mod is the battery mod. Second mod is to put on a DVR, the Eachine Pro DVR. I'm sure that there's videos out there of people doing that. There's videos out there of people swapping the battery out. But whenever they swap the battery, they do not swap it with a lithium ion. They put in their LiPo in there. But we're going to swap it out for a lithium ion. So put a DVR, put a bigger size battery in there for also the increased current draw of the DVR. And then what we're going to do is we're going to design an entirely new case for this guy and 3D print it in this guy. You see the 3D printer in there. You see the bed. I'll move that out of the way. Yeah. 3D print a new frame either in there, or I have a C-disc which has a 7x7x7 frame. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to 3D print first a jig that we could do a lot of testing on with the Fresnel lens and the LCD. Basically what that jig will allow us to do is put on the Fresnel lens and put on the LCD and be able to move the Fresnel lens and the LCD to do some to also have some learning in optics. I took one class a long time ago in community college on optics, and so I would like to learn the mathematics on that again and also show you guys what I learned there as well. So we're going to have a Fresnel lens, and then we're going to have the optics, and then we're going to have the LCD, and we're going to be able to move the Fresnel lens forward and backward, as well as the LCD closer and farther away, and then we're going to have, you know, the standard face opening, or a place to put your face, not necessarily a face opening, but somewhere to make sure that you reference your face in the same spot every time. And then you would be able to adjust the distance between the Fresnel lens in your eyes and the Fresnel lens in the LCD, and also the LCD to your eyes. So all that will be adjustable so that I could find the optimal distance for the Fresnel lens and the LCD to possibly get this guy shorter. And out of the box, I have one major problem with this guy. It's not exactly focused for me, and it has no adjustability for the Fresnel. So you see here, no adjustability. And how this is built is it actually has like a inner compartment here where you'll actually look through, and then one side's for the buttons and one side's for the battery. So it actually has a narrow piece here, so you're not going to be able to get a piece through the side here for the Fresnel. So the Fresnel, the adjustability would actually be on the bottom here. So that's the main thing. The main thing I want to fix before even the battery and the DVR mod is to get it to where it's actually adjustable for me as far as the Fresnel lens. And to be able to build a jig and adjust the distance between the Fresnel lens, your eyes, the Fresnel lens and the LCD in your eyes would be super great, because you just mark down that that number, and then you'll be able to know exactly how it will have to be when you build your goggles. When I build the frame for my goggles, right? Because it'll have to be different than this frame, because this frame is not adjustable. And then another thing is that we're going to learn some design defects from this guy on how to design better goggles. So let me go ahead and turn this on, and I'll show you guys a few more things before we cut the video out here. One of the things is, you see the reflection on the sidewall, how that's shiny plastic. We're going to get rid of that, and you can see it on the ceiling there too. Ceiling is also shiny plastic. But the funny thing is, you see how there's no reflection on the bottom? They actually put black felt foam on the bottom of the screen, so it doesn't actually reflect on the bottom of the screen. But they did not put the foam everywhere around, so it's pretty weird. But yeah, so in the next video, we'll either start designing, or we'll pop this guy apart and look at its interior. But the first video would be, the next video would be definitely, if we were designing, is to design the rig for the Fresnel and the, what's it called? The Fresnel and the LCD. So in order to take measurements on the Fresnel and the LCD, this is going to have to be taken apart. But also, I want this guy back together so I could do some flying on Sunday, to do more of what you saw on my video yesterday, which is that I posted yesterday, which is we're starting to put out gates. And last Sunday I cleared my first gate. Obviously, pretty easy, but yeah, so super excited, and I really like flying with these goggles because they're really light. Alright, so that is pretty much it. What I might do, I might release this video by itself, or I might take it apart, take this apart with a video of me taking it apart, and then add that to the end of this video. We'll have to see. Alright, so this has been Steven from RC Engineering. I would like to thank you guys for watching. So stay tuned for more modding of this guy, and we'll see if we can make this the best and cheapest starter goggles for you when you start flying, or even a standard carry-around pair for fun flying, or when you're just watching your buddies fly or something like that. Alright, well, if you guys like this video, please check out the links in my description to my Patreon, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Peace.